Behind closed doors, I'm a fool for your love.
Everyone, my name is Anthony, and welcome back to the Anthony James Show here on Sports Fan Entertainment. And today I decided to talk to you guys about Chad Kelly, a prospect that I've looked at this NFL year, and he's just an interesting player in many regards. I've already done a scouting report on Chad Kelly on my own channel, but I want to talk about more about Chad Kelly. I want to tell you what I think could happen with Chad Kelly in the NFL. To me, he is such an interesting prospect because I doubt he'll be going on day 1 or 2. So on a day 3 draft pick, you could be talking about a franchise quarterback. When we look at Chad Kelly, I think a lot of people are going to talk about Dak Prescott, and not even Chad Kelly, but we're going to be hearing more and more about Dak Prescott, especially if he ends up being a success in the NFL. We'll be hearing about him more and more as teams try to find their Dak Prescott on day 3 of the NFL draft. Cowboys took him in round 4, and look what happened to him his rookie year. I'm not saying Chad Kelly's the next Dak Prescott, but let's talk about Chad Kelly, because to me, he has 3 big issues. One of them isn't as big. I shouldn't say big. It's just not. It's an issue. But the other 2 are big issues he needs to overcome. And if he overcomes them, he could be a big steal for a team on day 3 of the draft. I think he could be a franchise quarterback, but he needs to solve some of these issues. The one that's not as big of a deal but worth mentioning is his age. He'll be 23 by the end of this month. You're drafting a 23-year-old rookie. I don't like drafting guys. Preferably, if I'm in the NFL, I prefer younger guys, and Chad Kelly's on the older side. Especially, I feel like a perfect scenario would be him going to a team like the Chargers, the Giants, the Saints, where he can be a backup quarterback, learn behind a franchise quarterback, and then in like 2 or 3 years take over for them. I think that'd be the perfect scenario for him. So if you do that, 2, 3 years from now, this guy's 25, 26 years old. This is like Jimmy Garoppolo or Brock Osweiler, and that's kind of worrisome. But in any regards, age is at least something you got to keep in the back of your mind. Next, this is one that he could be able to turn around. He got injured this season, and you probably heard he had a torn ACL that ended his season a little bit early. No combine for Chad Kelly. He's still recovering from that, and that sucks. That is a draft killer. That is a killer. Sidney Jones, I don't know what's happening with him, but I know he got injured at his pro day. That hurts. When you get injured like that, especially a torn ACL, for one, you bring in a guy, you're going to draft a guy who's coming off a torn ACL. That's not good. But even beyond that point, when you look at a torn ACL, you don't want this player to tear another ACL. You don't want this player to have injury concerns. If Chad Kelly does end up being a starting quarterback, you want him to start 16 games. You don't want him to be injured for 2, 3, or more games a year. You just don't want that. And if he's getting injured in college, that's not a good sign. Hopefully, this is like his only big injury if he does become a franchise quarterback. But that's another thing. To me, this third one is the more important one. And if he can turn this one around, I think the other 2 aren't as big of a deal. I mean, you see plenty of older players get drafted. You see plenty of players that had an injury in college get drafted. Leonard Fournette, he's been injured in college. He's going to get drafted very high this year. He'll be a first-round talent. So that's not as big of a deal, but it's something to keep in the back of your mind. To me, and I think to everybody, his biggest concern's off the field. It's off the field. I'm going to read you a little list of the things he's done off the field. He was yelling at Clemson fans while still at Clemson after a little fender bender, got arrested in a bar fight that involved threatening a mass shooting, running onto the field at his brother's high school game, trash talking teammates on Twitter, pursuing porn stars on Twitter, creating a rap song about himself. Some aren't as big of a deal as others. But those are just some of the issues we're talking about with Chad Kelly. Those are good. When you look at Chad Kelly, this is what you get with Chad Kelly. which is unfortunate. We all know him. He's the nephew of Jim Kelly, and maybe that's part of it. Maybe that's not. I feel like that's probably not, but people might contribute that. Regardless, if he can change this, this is a big deal. Because look at Johnny Manziel. A lot of people had him high on their draft boards coming into the 2014 draft, and look at him now. He only lasted 2 years in the league, and who knows if he'll be back or not. He's in the process of turning his life around, but this could be a Chad Kelly. That's, I think, to me, the biggest reason why we won't see Chad Kelly going on a day 1 or 2. What I've seen from him, he can be a good quarterback. He can fall apart, but he can be a good quarterback. And in a bad quarterback draft like this, if he can turn around these two things, especially the last one, this could be a steal. I don't think we're going to be getting a lot of franchise quarterbacks from this draft. So when you have somebody like this, I think it's worth taking a chance. I really do, because I look at somebody last year who I was not a big fan of whatsoever. That was Connor Cook. A lot of people, for some reason, were a big Connor Cook fan. I never got it. I thought the Raiders made a bad move trading up for him in the 4th round. To me, I never got on the Connor Cook bandwagon. I didn't like him in college. I didn't think he was that great in college. I thought he was a horrible leader, and I'm not saying Chad Kelly's a great leader, but I thought Connor Cook was a horrible leader. People were saying day 2, day 1, people were saying him as a late 1st round draft pick. I never got that. So fortunately for those teams, he wasn't drafted in round 1, 2, or 3. Look at what he did for the Raiders in his one start. And I know, rookie starting his first game in the playoffs, it wasn't good though. It was not good. He's not going to be a franchise quarterback. Let's say that. I'd be shocked if he's a franchise quarterback. But he went early round 4. I take Chad Kelly early round 4. That's what I would do. Realistically, if I'm an NFL GM, would I actually take him early round 4? No, but I wouldn't knock a team for taking him early round 4. I think you can take him in the 5th round, and he is a talented quarterback who's going to fall because of his off-the-field concerns. Now, if I'm honest with you, do I think in a few years from now, Chad Kelly's off-the-field concerns will be in the past, we won't be worrying about him? No, I think he's still going to have these off-the-field concerns, and until he grows up a little bit, I think he's going to have these off-the-field concerns for years to come. Unless he gets a reality check by getting cut by an NFL team or getting traded, I don't think he's going to get that wake-up call. And even when he gets drafted, or if he gets drafted, from what I've seen, 4 to 6, and I think that's a fair assumption of where he could go. But if he gets drafted, I mean, he's going to be on the team probably. He's probably going to be the 3rd-string quarterback, maybe the backup, depending on where he goes. So for him, I will be honest, I don't think he's going to be able to fix his off-the-field concerns. But he's such an intriguing prospect in a year where there's not a lot of great quarterbacks that I'd take a flyer on him in the 4th or 5th round. There's been plenty of players who've been worse than Chad Kelly, off the field, on the field, that have been taken before him. So why not take a risk on him on a day 3 pick? How often do 5th or 4th round draft picks pan out? I know 4th round, that's still somewhat high, but I'll be honest, if you take away his off-the-field concerns, if you take away the fact that he was injured, I think we'd be talking about Chad Kelly as a day 1 or 2 draft pick. But because of those concerns, we're not. And that's unfortunate. But to me, it's worth taking the chance on Chad Kelly. If you've watched Chad Kelly, tell me what you think about him. He, to me, is such an interesting prospect. I hope he turns his off-the-field concerns around, because I think he could be a franchise quarterback, and I think it'd be a pretty cool story if he does. But again, those are my thoughts and opinions on Chad Kelly. Like I said, leave yours in comments below. I'd love to hear them. And you can follow me on Twitter at AnthonyJamesTV, link in the description, and you can subscribe to my channel, Anthony James TV. I finished my 32 teams. Now I'm going to be doing some draft videos, some free agency videos, so check that out on my channel. But other than that, I don't have too much else left to say. Hope you enjoyed today's video, and until next time, this is Anthony. I'm out. See you all later.
Behind closed doors, I'm a fool for your love.